Gender complains of a threat to their life. Ghana's president meets diaspora members, and eastbound traffic congestions angers commuters. Greetings, I am Bibi Bacchus and welcome to this edition of Headline News Update. President Nana Akufo-Addo met members of Ghana's diaspora and shared his desires to help Guyana. More from Wendell Jeffrey.
We in Ghana are going through, have been going through for some time, some of the events that are now about to unfold here. We try to find a way to manage these new sources of potential wealth.
As part of his visit to Guyana, President of Ghana, Akufo-Addo, met with members of the Ghanaian diaspora and shared some tips on Guyana's emerging oil industry. The Ghanaian president said that there are also other areas in which they can help Guyana.
There are other areas of cooperation that we want to undertake, education, transportation, a direct link between Accra and Georgetown.
President of the Ghana Day Organization Committee, Penda Guyana, said that she and the members of her organization were delighted to meet with President Akufo-Addo.
We were very, very happy to see him. The school children were there. Everyone was so excited. And he did spend a few moments to greet us, the Ghana Day organization. We were very, very happy. I don't think we're going to take the smiles off of our faces for a very long time.
Longtime journalist, author, and poet Francis Kwame Faria said that he is glad that Guyana seems to be rekindling its connection with Africa and Asia.
We used to have a lot of heads of state from Africa and from Asia visiting Guyana, but somehow that petered out for a few years. So I'm happy to see that we are now restarting these sort of diplomatic activities.
Ghanaian-born Fatou Gibe Dima, CEO of the Guyana Global Consulting Group, said that she feels at home here in Guyana.
When I am in Guyana, I don't feel like a stranger. I actually feel among my people. And because I've worked in so many countries in Africa, Guyanese really look like family.
President Akufo-Addo left Guyana earlier this morning for a state visit in neighboring Suriname. For Channel 2 Headline News, Wendell Jeffrey.
Thanks, Wendell. Transgender Quincy McCune said that his life is being threatened and the police are not offering any assistance. Esther Sobers visited McCune and filed this report.
Quincy McCune, who identifies as a transgender, is fearful for his safety at his home and is dissatisfied with response from the police. On the 11th of June, McCune had a dispute with a neighbor known as Royston Belfield. The director and founder of the Guyana Trans United organization explained to Headline News that his neighbor used discriminating and threatening language along with brandishing a gun towards him due to a drainage and other issues.
He ran over to me with a sharp black gun in his hand. He don't like auntie-man. He would kill a auntie-man more so. I get afraid and traumatized and I run in here, slam this door here and start peeping through the crease. He ran over back into his yard. He picked up a crowbar. He came over with it and he started breaking up my pipes. When he calm and he leave and he go, I went to the station and make the report. The police said they didn't have vehicle because of the president was visiting at the time and they didn't have vehicle. I gave them a...
Which police station is this?
Isla Peniton.
And they don't have a vehicle?
They didn't have vehicle at the time. So I gave them a ride with my vehicle to come. They came, they cooperated, they went back, he wasn't there.
After the police conducted their investigations, things took a turn for the worse, as Belfield allegedly continued his attacks, causing McCune to revisit the Isla Penitence police station.
However, when I went to the station, he was making an allegation that this thing will normally make this cement, this big iron thing out there. I push it overboard. So I said to him, we have a hotel just opposite there. You also have a neighbor facing opposite you who have a camera. Why you don't go and seek forget the footage is from the camera that you will know exactly who pushed your thing overboard.
McCune, who has been living in Lodge for the past 20 years, says that there was never any prior issue with the neighbor who lived next door for the past 10 years. Recently, many issues erupted when the director of the trans organization opened a confectionery shop in front of his home.
About a month ago, one of the projects that I work on is piloting a project for the trans community, because oftentimes we speak about our community don't have work. So we about to give out 5 small business to 5 trans persons. So I decided to pilot one of the business as the project coordinator to see what business is feasible. So when I go to give out this small 5 loan, I will know exactly which to pilot. So I started the shop, and as doing the shop, I started to do some clearing up at the bottom of my yard. I cast this place here maybe less, if you look around you would see it fresh concrete, less than 2 weeks ago.
As an activist for the transgender rights, McCune expressed disappointment and felt discriminated against by the police. McCune said that Belfield has not been arrested and that he is afraid that his neighbor could cause him harm.
When I look at the cases that I've been dealing with outside of my community, whether women or not, and that has always been the report of the attitude of the Guyana police force across. However, though, I knew for the fact that this young man, in his argument, many times he referred because of my sexual orientation.
McCune's neighbor was not at home to respond to the allegations. Nonetheless, McCune hopes that justice will prevail. For Headline News, Esther Sobers.
Thank you, Esther. Coming up after the break, commuters complain of traffic delay caused by departing president, and Guyanese named the top post at UN. Also, your regional and international headlines.
Are you kidding me? Really? So wrong. That is not what we were taught at the Green Generation Guyana camp.
Is this the correct way to do it? Drivers, you have 2 options that you can use. First, you can temporarily put your empty plastic bottles in the trunk of your vehicle or on the ground on the passenger side next to you. Or secondly, place them in the nearest garbage bin you see. We need you to play your part in helping us keep the environment clean and healthy. A message from the Ministry of Communities, Green Generation Guyana Sanitation Program. For more information, please contact us on 592-227-2605, or you may find us on the World Wide Web at www.moc.gov.gy.
Welcome to Kissoon's Furniture. Find everything you need for your home and more under one roof in our newly decorated showroom. Our locally crafted furniture has been perfected over the last 60 years. From our hands to your home, we also bring to you our newly introduced lines of imported furniture and sleep center, where you can find a wide range of beds and mattresses. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 60 years.
Did you know that the Central Board of Health in the Ministry of Public Health plays a critical role in housing and district planning? Well, it does. Without the board signing off approval on your plans to subdivide house lots into no less than 3,053 square feet, you cannot move forward with your project. For instance, owners of land intending to sell house lots cannot do so without first satisfying the Central Board of Health that access to and the drainage of each lot have been provided on the plan. Only after this has been done, the plan is stamped and signed off. A letter by the Secretary is then issued to the owner indicating that all aspects of the sale and transfer of title or transport can be proceeded with. Also, no construction on any land should be initiated by anyone until such works as specified in the approved plan is green-lighted by the board through a certificate signed by the Secretary. The CBH wishes to remind members of the public that permission must be sought from the board to subdivide and combine lots in excess of 3,053 square feet outside of the municipality of Georgetown. Any person who willfully contravenes these provisions shall be guilty of an offense, and the magistrate may order building or extension taken down forthwith. If the owner cannot be found, the board may cause to be taken down such illegal structures or additions and charge cost to the owner. For more information, contact the CBH on telephone number 226-8158 or 226-1224.
Welcome back. Guyanese-born Catherine Pollard was on Tuesday appointed as the next Under-Secretary General for Management Strategy, Policy and Compliance. The appointment was announced by Antonio Guterres, the United Nations Secretary General. Pollard succeeds Jan Bagel of New Zealand, who served for 40 years within the UN system. The UN said Pollard brings to the position over 3 decades of experience in human, financial, information, communication, technology, and supports operations and services. Commuters from the West Bank, West Coast, and the East Bank of Demerara complained bitterly this morning for the extended delays. Esther Sobers reports.
It's not fair. It's not fair. You the workers lose a lot because when workers going to work late, the money cut. It's not that they're getting the straight money, it cut, which is unfair. Drivers losing on gas and time.
The usual bumper-to-bumper East Coast, West Bank and the West Coast traffic was significantly complicated this morning as preparations were put in place for the departure of the visiting president of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo. Commuters complained that their travel to their respective destinations were increased by as much as 1.5 hours. The police traffic department seemed overwhelmed trying to deal with the ensuing logistical complications.
It takes us like an hour and a half to reach the town, which is not fair. Every day this traffic building up, we gotta make money. Instead of we making money, we losing money because the gas you're burning, no one refunding your gas.
One passenger said that she took about 4 hours to get from Aruni on the highway to town. What time you left your home?
I left home 5 o'clock.
5?
Yeah.
And what time is it now?
Now it's some minutes to 9 and the boss man just now.
So you had an appointment today in town, this traffic all this
Yeah,
today?
yeah.
Another passenger from Parfit Harmony on the West Bank said that she would rather not be on camera but agreed to speak with Channel 2 Headline News.
I left my house at 6:30 this morning, right? I live in Parfit. And to be honest, had I known that it would have been this confusion on the traffic, I would have come with a boat. And I think if they know they had this problem, they could have informed people since last night, so people would have made alternative arrangements.
The nurse said that she was scheduled to work for 8 a.m. this morning, but did not get to town until after 9 a.m.
What time you had to reach to work for this morning?
8 o'clock.
And now it's after 9?
Yeah.
So what are you going to tell your supervisors now?
It was the traffic.
For Headline News, Esther Sobers.
Thanks, Esther. And now for your regional news. A lawyers association in Brazil has accused a top judge of conspiring with prosecutors to keep former President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. Lula was jailed in April last year as part of a wide-ranging corruption probe called Operation Car Wash that prevented him from running again for the president in last October's election, where opinion polls suggested he was likely to win. Al Jazeera's Lucian Newman reports.
Until not so long ago, Justice Minister Sergio Moro was widely regarded as Brazil's anti-corruption hero. He was praised as a man who wasn't afraid to imprison not just corrupt businessmen, but also the country's most influential politicians, including former President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. Now the former judge who oversaw a multi-billion-dollar kickback scheme, nicknamed Operation Car Wash, is at the center of scandal himself and facing calls to step down. This follows the publication of leaked conversations and messages that he allegedly exchanged with prosecutors about the Lula da Silva case. Moro is allegedly heard sharing information and advice in an attempt to ensure that Lula da Silva would be found guilty, which is illegal.
We can say that, in a way, the impartiality of the judgment could have been compromised, at least at the beginning. We see that there was a kind of orientation given by the judge to the prosecutors in the legal process.
Lula was convicted and prevented from running for president last year, clearing the way for current President Jair Bolsonaro's victory. Bolsonaro then named Moro Justice Minister and reportedly promised to give him the next available seat on the Supreme Court. Moro denies any wrongdoing and describes the allegations as sensationalist. The prosecutor implicated also dismisses the charges.
No, those accusations are not true, and their origin is linked to a criminal attack, a hack.
However, Moro is now being investigated himself for possible misconduct amid allegations that he used his power for political purposes and personal gain. Questions over Moro's propriety are unlikely to be enough to overturn former President Lula's conviction, but they will certainly give ammunition to those who have long suspected that the former anti-corruption czar had a political agenda all along. Lucia Newman, Al Jazeera.
And in international news, U.S. President Donald Trump has inadvertently revealed some details of his immigration deal with Mexico. Trump refused to discuss the plans with reporters, saying they were secret, but he said this while waving around a sheet of paper that had the specifics of the deal written on it, which was then photographed by news media. President Trump made tightening the border with Mexico a major campaign pledge, and the agreement adverted his threats to impose tariffs on Mexico. The document suggested that Mexico had agreed to a deadline by which it had to show its efforts at halting the movement of migrants had worked. And that is all for this edition of Headline News Update for June 12, 2019. Tune in tomorrow at 7 p.m. for another update. Until then, follow us on Facebook and subscribe on YouTube for more news. Take care.